All right, welcome to Traveling on Everyday Spend Points and Miles Report. This is the Hot Take Edition. I do a weekly live stream with all the news of the week that you need to know every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But sometimes there are deals that come up and end between the live streams. I want you to have all the information you need. So that is why I will do hot take editions of the Points and Miles Report when necessary. Today is one of those days. We have a JetBlue flash sale that is today only. Virgin Atlantic, 25% off on award flights that end today, as well as we've got two other deals that end tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started and look at this agenda. So as far as the agenda, like I mentioned, we have the Virgin Atlantic 25% off of award flights. We have Air Canada with a limited time sale that ends tomorrow. We have the opportunity to buy Alaska miles with up to 60% bonus ending tomorrow. And then lastly, we have the JetBlue flash sale for today only. Now, when it comes to Virgin Atlantic, we're getting a 25% award discount on all award bookings. Now, that's for all cabins for flights through the end of the year. Now, the bookings has to be made by tonight at 6:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so there's not a lot of time left. Discounts are applied up front when you book, so you don't have to wait on getting that discount back. Now, the discounts are also available on redemptions, upgrades, and including companion tickets. So, a couple of things to look at. So, if you got US to London Heathrow, you can fly out of there to there for Atlanta, Boston, LAX, Miami, JFK, Las Vegas, Orlando, San Francisco, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Dulles at Washington, D.C. If you were going to from the US to Manchester, you could do that from Atlanta, JFK, Las Vegas, as well as Orlando. Now, Virgin Atlantic must operate the flight. Now, keep in mind also that beyond Virgin Atlantic to get you to the UK, you can fly to India, South Africa, the UAE, and the Maldives, among others. As far as the things you need to keep in mind, though, you can change existing bookings within this period, which is something normally kind of rare, but you will get charged a change fee, which could be up to $50, but any point reduction from what you spend will be returned back to you to your account. Now, these offers do happen a few times per year, and 25% is a little bit at the lower end of what they normally do. But based upon the timing and the time frame that we have, it is likely that this may be the last discount of the year. So if you are going to be flying Virgin Atlantic on points through the remainder of the year, this may be something you want to look at. When it comes to surcharges, this is always the big issue with Virgin Atlantic. You would be looking at on economy flights round trip, you could be looking at as much as $500 surcharge. And if you're flying business round trip, you're looking at potentially up to $2,000. One example would be flying from JFK, New York to London Heathrow. It would only cost you 71,200 miles flying round trip, which is outstanding. But you do have a surcharge of $2,385 that you'll have to kind of weigh of which if it works for you. Now, the last thing to keep in mind is the season. When you get to the winter months that are shortly coming up here, you will likely find cash tickets that will be less than the surcharges. So definitely take some time. There's not a lot of time, but if you are looking at flying and it's before you get to the winter months and you were considering doing a point flight with Virgin, take a look at this for this. I'll have a link to the landing page where you would be able to book this as soon as this is over. The second item is Air Canada limited time sale. They've recently reached a tentative agreement with their pilots, which averted a potential strike. So, as part of their celebration, Air Canada has provided a limited time deal. 25% off of all new bookings on all routes must be made by September 18th at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. You will also have an opportunity to add 2,500 bonus points. Now, the sale applies to economy in the standard class, premium economy at the lowest, and business at the lowest. You don't have any registration that is required. The sale is valid for travel between September 28th all the way to May 31st of 2025, which is great. Now, they must be on flights within Canada, to and from Canada, and between any destinations in Canada's network would apply. A few things to keep in mind, though. Not everything is always going to be great. There are blackout dates. December 16th through the 23rd of this year, December 24th through January 4th of next year, February 13th through the 18th of next year, March 7th through the 9th of 2025, and lastly, March 14th through the 16th. Eligible flights include Air Canada, which also would be their Express and Rouge airlines. Also, flights operated by Lufthansa, Swiss, Austrian, Brussels, and Discover booked as an Air Canada code share, which would have the AC as part of the flight number, are also eligible, which is a little bit surprising. Now, the 2,500 bonus points only applies to flights departing from Canada, one way or round trip. And the code share flights that I mentioned of the Lufthansa group do not apply to this offer, but there are no blackout dates to get those 2,500 points. And that 25% sale can be used as many times as you want for that duration, as long as you book by that deadline. So make sure to be able to take a look at that. And like I said, no registration is required. You can go right onto the website. The next item we have is buying Alaska miles with up to a 60% bonus. The transactions must be completed by tomorrow, September 18th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, if you are a mileage plan member of MVP, MVP Gold, MVP Gold 75K, and Gold 100K, there are no annual limit to the amount of points you can, or miles that you can purchase or gift. Now, if you are not one of those plan members, you do have a cap of 150,000 miles. Now, when we're looking at this up to 60% opportunity, if you purchase between 3,000 and 19,000 miles, you would be getting a 40% discount, which would be at roughly 2.1 cents per point. If it's 20,000 to 39,000 miles, you now reach 50% with 1.97 cents per point. And then lastly, 40,000 to 100,000 miles will get you 60%, which puts you at 1.85 cents per point. And 1.85 cents per point is kind of the baseline. And like I always say, cents per point baseline is just a baseline. You have to look at each individual situation to see if that number means anything to you. So, like, for example, if you flew Japan Airlines and flew business class round trip between the US and Tokyo, you're basically looking at 75,000 Alaska miles. Now, with this promotion, you would be looking at a cost of $1,387.50. Sounds okay. But if you were doing the cash price of that same flight, it would normally be between $3,000 to $4,000 and would represent a great value and a perfect example of when you may want to look at buying miles for a trip that might give you that outsized value. Now, as always, we have to keep a few things in mind. Alaska has valuable partners such as Japan Airlines, Cathay Pacific, as well as Fiji. Now, normally Alaska miles are very hard to accumulate. Now, it has gotten better since Alaska became a transfer partner of Bilt. Now, through Bilt, you can transfer your Bilt points directly to Alaska, or or if you have the Alaska Airlines personal credit card, then you can be able to earn 3x by paying your rent on that card, but you do have the processing fee that you normally don't have to pay when you use the Bilt card. Now, once again, be sure to run your own numbers if you're looking at something like this to be sure it is best for you. They do these sales pretty often. 60% is pretty good. But once again, this is not something where you need to speculate on that the deal is so good that you have to buy the points. Only if it fits for something and not to necessarily hoard points. Lastly, we've got the JetBlue flash sale that is today only. So what JetBlue is having is what they call their 40 under $40 flash sale. It's on discounted flights for both points and dollars, which is really good to see. You must book by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Travel must be between October 1st and November 20th of this year, 2024. One twist to this is that sale prices only apply to flights on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So that's something we have to work with. Now, when we are talking about it is also valid on only nonstop flights. So let's take one example. How about LAX in Los Angeles to Salt Lake City? If you were flying Blue Basic, you could be paying only $18.10 after taxes. And for those that aren't familiar with Blue Basic, that would normally be a free carry-on bag if there's space, no changes, and a potential fee to cancel and you're the last boarding group. But if those are your worst situations, to be at $18.10, that may work out for you. Now that can raise up as you go up different levels, but they're still severely discounted. If you were looking at that same flight with points, you'd be looking at 2,500 miles or points. But there is one other caveat that is very interesting. These sale fares are appearing on the Chase travel portal, which we don't normally see. So for 1.24 cents per point, if you were using your Sapphire Preferred to be able to buy that ticket through the travel portal, you would only be paying 1,448 Chase points for that one that was 2,500 points of JetBlue. If you have the Sapphire Reserve, you'd be only looking at 1,207 with that. Now, a few things we always have to keep in mind. In this case, JetBlue does run these sales periodically. Now, if you're purchasing, there are a few excellent credit cards to use. Clearly, if you have a JetBlue Plus card or JetBlue Business, you're looking at 6x on your dollars that you use. The American Express Platinum is going to get you 5x for those points, as well as Chase Sapphire, you're looking at 5x. Now, these are not valid on previous bookings, so make sure that these are going to be new bookings that you're doing. So that is the hot takes for today. And be sure to tune in on Thursday when we do the full report of the points and miles report that you need to know. Thanks so much and talk to you soon.